Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And I'm getting back to my series where I'm counting down my 100 favorite movies of the 1980s. Why the 1980s? Because of an individual named Ryan from Real Talks with Ryan, great YouTube channel, good friend of mine. He won my contest this last year, the Oscar predicting contest. Yeah, he got first place, so he got to name my project that I've been working on. This is his idea. He didn't want me to. He didn't say do 100. He just said ranking my favorite 80s movies. So I decided to go big and do a top 100 favorite. I am now to number 70 on my list, so I'm going to do 70 through 61 here on my list of 100 favorite 80s movies. So stay tuned to see if any of these are your favorites here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Wednesday night. Been very stormy here in Kansas last couple days, just storm after storm. It's that kind of season now. We get a lot of storms at this time. Luckily no tornadoes yet, so hopefully we won't get any of those. But yeah, going my favorite movies of the 1980s period, which I was born in 83, so I don't remember the 80s too well, just barely, didn't see any of these in theater. So these are all just rewatches. Probably in the 90s, I rewatched a lot of these on TV and caught them at some point. And some of these I grew up on, some of these I found later in life. But anyway, so we're starting with number 70 on my list. Excuse me. Number 70 on my list is a movie called Funny Farm. Which is a comedy with Chevy Chase. And I didn't look these up. I'm just kind of going on top of my head. I think Goldie Hawn is the actress in here. I might be wrong. Actually, I think I am wrong. It's Chevy Chase though. I know Chevy Chase is the main actor here. Yeah, and it's this married couple. They move out to this kind of town, and I don't know if there's a new house, new town that they're moving into. And the idea was, I think they were living in the city, but they wanted to move out into a smaller area or something, or out in the kind of idea is this town is a little more like rednecky, a lot of redneck type characters. You know, they do a lot of fishing and hunting and stuff like that or whatever, and kind of small town folk, which I'm from a small town, so I kind of get that kind of thing. But anyway, so they're in this really nice house in this, small town, and the idea is that Chevy Chase wants to be a writer. I can't remember what his job is, but he kind of quits his job I don't know if he quits, but they moved to this place because he wants to write a book. He wants to write a novel, and he wants to be, make money as an author or whatever. He really thinks he can do that. So they thought they'd get into this kind of quiet area, and he can spend his days writing this novel that he thinks he can, be good at. Anyways, and so they do that, and they kind of get to know the town folk. And a lot of comedy ensues there. Of course, Chevy Chase, he's bumbling. He's, he makes a lot of enemies because he, does stuff the wrong way. And if he offends people, all this kind of stuff. Do love all the townsfolk. It's very funny. There's a fishing scene where he's in a boat fishing with these other guys. And of course, when he puts his, when he reels back, the hook gets in one of the guy's mouth, and then he's trying to get it out, and it's like, oh my god, what a nightmare. But there's a lot of scenes like that. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm trying to think of exactly what all happens, but kind of like that anyways. To get more into plot, the big plot is his wife writes a children's book. While she's there, she decides to do some writing too, and so she writes this little children's book and puts it out. And it ends up getting picked up for publishing, while his book that he wrote doesn't get picked up anyways. And so he cheats or lies and says that he's the one who wrote the children's book, and so he can get his name recognized. Really, not a really dirty deed he does. She finds out, she's really upset, and she's basically going to divorce him. And so now they need to sell this house. And that's kind of the second part of the movie, kind of plot, is them kind of live in this house and trying to get someone to buy this house anyways, because they're going to separate. They're going to get divorced, something like that. but then they realize they love each other or something like that at the end, anyways. But yeah, really solid comedy from Chevy Chase at this time period, and definitely one I don't think it's as recognizable as some of the other 80s comedies. And so I definitely want to highlight this and say, if you haven't seen Funny Farm, definitely check it out. It's a really good comedy. And I don't know, it's one that I remember watching a lot as a kid. Like it was on TV or something, and I think my dad liked it or something. So I remember watching with my dad and getting a lot of laughs out of it as a kid. Anyway, so yeah, definitely check out Funny Farm here. Number 70 on my list. Number 69 is a kind of a iconic classic 80s film that really defined a genre, and that is This Is Spinal Tap. Which you might be saying, 69, this seems really low. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the genre, and I'm actually a bigger fan of their next couple movies, Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, uh, Almighty Wind, or A Mighty Wind, sorry, A Mighty Wind. Those three are really good, we call mockumentary movies. But This Is Spinal Tap still, I mean, you have to say, it's so groundbreaking to me. It's the first time I've ever seen a movie of this type. The mockumentary, if you don't know mockumentaries, it's such a funny idea, and it's really a good movie for improvising. And you don't see a lot of these out there. You see these every once in a while. I see other, but this is actually, well, it stars Christopher Guest, um, Harry Shearer, I know, is in it, and Michael McKean, I believe, are the three main actors. They're in a rock band called Spinal Tap. And the whole movie is a documentary about this fake band called Spinal Tap. And Rob Reiner directs the movie, and he also is in the movie. He plays the director in the movie, like he's directing this documentary. And he's actually directing the movie, which is kind of funny. And he's interviewing the band, and we're kind of learning about the band, and we're hearing their songs. And we're kind of going this, they're putting out like a new album, and we're kind of seeing their tour and stuff like that, and what's going on. And there's some infighting within the band, and anyways, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's such a funny idea. Making because I love documentaries, so I love the idea of making a documentary that's not really a documentary, but it's supposed to look like a documentary. It's so funny of an idea, and you get so many great improvised moments because a lot of times they just don't have, they have kind of a script of like what's supposed to happen, but then they have so much room to just kind of riff in it. And the three main actors are so good with these characters. I think especially Christopher Guest is just so good at this genre. This is kind of the genre that he almost, I won't say he invented almost, and it's like the genre that he really made a big genre and not big, but made it, accessible. That we've seen this in TV a lot with The Office, and Parks and Recreation does this, and what's it called, Modern Family. They do this mockumentary type too, where they talk to the camera. They know there's a camera there, and that's the way this is. It's like they're talking to the camera. They know there's a camera there, shooting like, and it's supposed to. It feels like these are real people that we're just seeing their lives, and it doesn't feel scripted, and that's what's so fun about these type of movies. I don't know, this Spinal Tap, I'm not as big a fan of this as I am, like I said, the other like three coming after this. I think are much funnier and do much better in the genre. It does have some iconic moments, like the him saying "I turned to 11" is one of the most iconic, scenes, comedies. It goes to 10, yeah, but this one goes to 11. That kind of stuff, and there's all kinds of great stuff like that. Anyway, so definitely one to watch to kind of. Again, it's like you have to watch it. It's a classic 80s comedy that really opened up a new genre, the mockumentary style, which I wouldn't mind seeing more of these. These are such a funny idea. Anyways, this is Spinal Tap at number 69 on my list. Number 68, we have Raising Arizona. This is another really funny comedy by the Coen brothers. Yeah, Coen brothers doing this comedy with Nicolas Cage and Holly, is it Holly Hunter? I think is the actress. And yeah, this is kind of an outrageous kind of comedy. It's very quirky. Coen brothers do this really good job with these kind of quirky comedies. Before they kind of made some of their really big movies like Fargo and No Country for Old Men when they won the Oscar. It's an interesting movie. Nicolas Cage plays like a criminal, but he marries Holly Hunter, who's like a police officer, but she can't have a baby, and so they go steal a baby from this rich guy who has like a bunch of he just had his wife just had quadruplets or something like that. So they decided to steal one of his babies and raise it as theirs. And they name it Arizona, and that's why it's called Raising Arizona. While the rich guy hires a bounty hunter or whatever to go find, who kidnapped his baby. And that's kind of how the comedy is. And yeah, it's very funny. Nicolas Cage is, again, doing his Nicolas Cage thing, just creating a really strange character, strange voice, but being very, very funny. John Goodman has a really funny a small role in here when he comes in as well. Yeah, I don't know what's much to say, but it's kind of crazy. It's funny. I love the scene where he goes to they need diapers, so he goes to the grocery store and robs them for diapers. And there's this whole scene of him getting shot at and him escaping and trying to get these diapers. Very funny, really well done. Anyway, so yeah, definitely another comedy you have to see if you haven't, and that is Raising Arizona, number 68 on my list. Actually, almost all these are comedies. I'm just now realizing that I have on these 10 some of my favorite 80s comedies. At 67, we got another comedy called Spies Like Us. Spies Like Us is another comedy with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. Of course, both coming off of Saturday Night Live. This is actually supposed to be a Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi is supposed to be the other actor, but he died at this point. So they filled his role with Chevy Chase and went on with this anyways. But Spies Like Us is another movie I just remember seeing a lot as a kid, just catching on TV and always really enjoying it. And they basically are two CIA like spies. They're like finishing, I think CIA, whatever you want to say. They're finishing like spy school or something like that. And Dan Aykroyd's character is like very smart, but he's like I don't know, he had some other issues. Chevy Chase's character is like kind of an idiot, but somehow he's still, is trying to be a CIA spy, whatever. Well, they get passed and go on this mission like in Russia. And I think they put on this mission because they don't think they actually will survive. And so they're like, let's pick the two biggest idiots in our in the CIA to like do this mission or something like that. And very funny together. Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase really work well off each other in this. And yeah, some great moments like them pretending to be doctors at one point in order to infiltrate this area. And then they have to do surgery or something like that. And they have no idea what they're doing. There's some great funny kind of scenes like that in here. And I can't say I remember everything about this movie, but I always thought it was really funny. So another comedy to check out, Spies Like Us, at 67 on my list. 66 is pretty big comedy. Now I don't know if it was that big when it came out, but I think now looking back, a lot of people, it kind of almost comes like a cult comedy, and that is Clue. Clue, based off of the board game Clue. They made a movie and made a pretty good comedy overall. Really good cast of characters as well in here. The star is Tim Curry. Tim Curry is so good as the butler, and it's funny because of course the butler is like always the one that commits the murder. And if you know the Clue game, someone gets murdered, and you have all these characters. Miss Green, I think, Professor Plum, I forget, Colonel Mustard. You got all these kind of funny names. And so they have characters playing those characters. I think Madeline Kahn's in here, which is great. Like I said, I think Michael Keane's in here as well, playing a character. And I'm not gonna remember all the actors are in here, but actually a pretty good cast of actors and actresses here. And so they're all go off and try to figure out who killed the owner of this mansion, and someone else gets killed, and they're suspicious of each other, who's the one who did it, and they get the cops come and get involved in all this. Anyways, yeah, really, really fun idea for a comedy that really works. Again, Tim Curry, so funny. Tim Curry is one of my favorite actors of this time period. He's so good in all the movies he does. And then there's an interesting ending where we get three different endings with three different murderers. So it was really funny how they did that as well. Very inventive. Definitely a solid comedy. I need to watch again. I haven't seen it in a while. But it's called Clue, here at number 66 on my list. Number 65, we're going to go with Rocky IV. Yeah, Rocky Four. Now I know if Rashad G is watching this, he's like, "What? Rocky Four at 65?" He probably has this maybe in his top 10. A lot of people, if you love the Rocky franchise, you might have this higher. I do love Rocky. The first movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. As we get to Rocky Four, I mean, I still have so much nostalgia for this movie because I was such a big fan of the Rocky series. I've seen all the movies, and I used to watch them as a kid. I love the boxing scenes, of course, as a kid. That was, I love action, so I love the back and forth of the boxing. This one's a little bit cheesy though. I guess that's why I don't have it too high. Rewatching it, I don't know. It's like, did we really need this one? Sometimes I feel like, we probably didn't need Rocky Four, except that Rocky Four does tie into Creed. So now I'm like, yeah, I guess you have to have Rocky Four because Creed is such a good movie, and you need Rocky Four to have Creed. But this is one where he goes to Russia to fight Drago, the big Russian, played by Dolph Lundgren, because he boxed Apollo Creed earlier on. Apollo Creed, who's coming out of retirement to box this undefeatable big Russian, and ends up getting killed in the ring. And that's the big, I know, spoiler, but I mean, that's the big, plot point that he has to kind of avenge his friend in the boxing ring, goes to Russia, Soviet Union, communism, and seems impossible. This guy's twice his size, but he's determined, and he defeats him and then ends communism at the same time. Has this big speech about, we should be friends, USA and Russia. Of course, this is like Cold War era, so Russia's always kind of the bad guy. It's a little stupid. It's a little cheesy at times. It's definitely not one of my favorite in the series, but still got some good moments. I mean, the boxing match between him and Drago, great. I love stuff like "I will break you," love those kind of scenes. And just the montage, one of the best montages of him training out in this barn, and he's doing all these different things out like in this barn area, and Drago's like in a gym with machines, testing him and stuff. It was a great montage between how they're both doing, one's using nature just, and one's using, modern technology. That's stuff like that. And you got, is it Heart on Fire? You have a really good song where he thinks about, his friend being killed. You got that whole moment in the train. Anyways, but yeah, so it's got some good stuff, but it's still kind of cheesy. So Rocky Four at number 65 on my list. Number 64, I have a movie called Innerspace, which is kind of sci-fi comedy, I guess you can call it. Trying to see if I remember right. I believe it's Dennis Quaid is in here with Martin Short. It's such an interesting idea. Kind of, yeah, I said kind of a comedy, but part thriller and a little bit sci-fi in it. In that Dennis Quaid's character, he gets technology shrinks him down like really really small, and he's supposed to be kind of swallowed by this other guy, and he has the technology to like go through his insides. He's like in a ship, and he can go inside with the ship, and he can, and he's something to do with spying, I think, or something like that. But it's one of these, accidental things where the guy is on the run because the bad guys are, after him, and I don't know if he gets killed or something like that. But then Martin Short, who's just a regular guy, ends up taking the thing that has him in it. So now Dennis Quaid's inside Martin Short, and and I guess he can talk to him, and he's like, freaking out because he can hear voices, and he realizes there's, Dennis Quaid's inside of him, and he's like, and so now he has to go on this spy mission on behalf. Again, Martin Short, so funny, love Martin Short, physical comedic, great physical comedic actor, and yeah, it's a funny idea for a movie. I love the sci-fi element, the kind of thrill spy stuff. Another really, really good movie. Definitely check out Innerspace at number 64 on my list. Now we're going to go number 63, and it is where I put Lethal Weapon. Again, it feels like you have to have this kind of movie. It's like you have to have these, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, you gotta have these 80's actions in here. And Lethal Weapon is definitely one of those iconic 80's action movies. This time with Mel Gibson in the lead, I think in Murdoch or something like that, and then you have also Danny Glover, and yeah, I said it's very iconic. Mel Gibson plays this guy who's kind of a wild. He's a police officer, wild detective who's, very kind of. He's a loose cannon. He's unpredictable. While Danny Glover is more of the by the books guy, and he's about to retire. He's getting to retirement age or something like that. He's a veteran, and he has a family. He's a wife and kids. While Mel Gibson's character, he doesn't have any wife or kids. He had a wife who died, and that's why he's kind of suicidal. We see scenes where you think he might commit suicide. That's just kind of, so he's mentally not, he has some problems mentally. Great pairing, though. Obviously, one of the great duo, that we have here. As I can't remember much about the villain, but I know Gary Busey's in here before he was crazy. He plays kind of like the main henchman, and there's a big fight scene between him and Mel Gibson. But yeah, overall, fun action movie and Mel Gibson's so good. I mean, Mel Gibson's character, it's one of his best performances, I think. It's got some comedy in there, some good action scenes. Definitely one you got to check out if you haven't. It has Lethal Weapon here at number 63 on my list. All right, up to 62 on my list, and now we got a musical, underrated musical here, and that's Little Shop of Horrors. We start with Rick Moranis here, who's great, another great, 80s comedic actor. This is a musical play, whatever, Broadway, who was written by the guy, Al Menken, and the other guy who ended up writing like The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, the music to that. This is like the big musical that they wrote, like I think on Broadway, that got them noticed for Disney to, call them and say, hey, you want to write music for, Little Mermaid or whatever. And they took it on and changed Disney history, basically. But before that, we got Little Shop of Horrors. Definitely a comedy musical. It's a really crazy idea for a musical. It's about a kind of killer plant from outer space. And Rick Moranis works at a plant shop, sees this plant, this unusual plant, which is an alien from outer space, and puts it in the store, and he gets business for it. But it keeps getting bigger, but it needs blood, so he needs to figure out how to feed it blood. So, and he gets bigger and bigger until it's huge, and it's a man-eating plant. And now he wants bodies, and so he's got to kill people to feed this plant. I'm trying to think. And he's also in love with this girl who also works there, but she has an abusive boyfriend, played by Steve Martin. Absolutely hilarious. He plays this biker guy who's physically abusive, and he loves violence, and so he became a dentist. What a funny idea. And I've been to the dentist, and I totally get it, man. Dentists love to torture you. And that's the whole idea behind Steve Martin's character, is that he became a dentist so he can torture people. What a funny idea. The whole musical of I want to be a dentist. Oh, so good. So funny. I think Bill Murray shows up in that scene as well. And of course he wants to kill him because he's abusing the girl that he's in love with. A good love story there between them two. She has and she was in the musical on Broadway as well. Man, she has a good voice. I don't know the actress name. I've watched some clips of her actually on YouTube, and man, she has a good voice. And she's done this role for a long time as well. And she's been on Broadway for a long time. And yeah, the Suddenly Seymour, what a great song. The Suddenly Seymour, great song. And the end, and also the plant. The plant has a great voice when he sings as well. And there's a lot of, there's a bit of horror in there because he's a man-eating plant and he's trying to eat everybody, and Seymour has to kill the plant to save it's got some great stuff like that. Music is overall really good. It's a funny movie, fun idea. Definitely one I need to buy at some point because I love musicals. So yeah, Little Shop of Horrors here at number 62 on my list. In this video with number 61 and we're going with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Yeah, this is another movie I remember seeing a lot as a kid. Always loved it. Here, the first time I've seen like Keanu Reeves. I mean, Matrix, pre John Wick, and he was just doing this, kind of stoner comedy. I say stoner. I don't know if they ever get stoned, but he's kind of playing a high school kid, and then I forget the other actor's name, but Bill and Ted, they're kind of idiot high schoolers who need to pass a test. They need to do on history, and it turns out in the future they write a song that like saves humanity or something, or saves, anyways, brings peace or something like that. So George Carlin comes from the future to tell him, you got to pass this test. If you don't pass the test, then you won't be able to, write the song or whatever. Anyway, so in order to do that, they're given a phone booth in which is a time traveling machine, and they time travel to different eras and pick up historical people, like I think Abraham Lincoln, Napoleon Bonaparte, Joan of Arc, Billy the Kid, I think, maybe Socrates or something like that. It's really funny how they pick. And that's what I love about the movie, because I'm a big history buff, love history, love reading about history, love watching documentaries, movies about history, all that. So I just love this movie, that fact that you got all these different historical figures that they pick up and they're bringing to the modern world. It's a really funny idea. And of course, a lot of adventure going on there. They pick up two babes from the medieval times, and of course become their girlfriends during the movie, basically. And yeah, it's a funny movie, love Keanu Reeves and the other guy are so funny together. I just love I love just seeing history, them going. It's just a fun idea of them traveling through different historical times, and doing all that. Anyway, so yeah, really fun movie, one I've always enjoyed, and that's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure here at number 61 on my list. So that's my list for today, 70 through 61, and I'll get on with 60 and on after that. But hopefully, these are some movies you've heard of. If you haven't heard of them, hopefully they're movies you'll check out. You'll hopefully hear my recommendations here and maybe check them out at some point. That's what I hope with these lists, is that I'll not only talk about big movies, but also maybe smaller movies that you might not know. Anyway, so definitely check all these out. I think there are a lot of good comedies here. Overall, very solid 80s classics as well. So let me know in the comments if you've seen these movies, or which ones you've seen, which ones you put on your list. Let me know. Love to read the comments. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for liking it. And thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all, and hope you have